completed?
Our time frame is to have the unveiling of the sculpture in April of 2010. It does take quite a bit of time, as Phyllis has explained to us, to have all of this cast in bronze. So there's lots of phases. April is often regarded as kind of an Oklahoma our History Month, and so we thought that would be a good time. We want to plan some events and educational leading up to that, and kind of plan a big party for the unveiling. So, but that's our tentative. We don't have an actual date, but somewhere April 2010.
So with our approval tonight, would that go ahead and start the process, or are you going to wait until you raise all the money?
The approval tonight would let us begin the process, working with the city attorney and getting the contract taken care of. Quite a bit of the money has already been raised. I think we just need, to make this publicly known and then start on additional fundraising.
Okay. I was trying to help you along with the fundraising.
I will be accepting donations.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thank you very much. Would the council like to make any motions on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the report that was given for the, what I call that, the outdoor sculpture for the Stillwater Public Library.
I'll second that.
It does pass.
Mr. Mayor, may I make one last comment?
Yes.
And I know there were comments made appreciating the committee. And I just want to say, I think people watching and the public may look at this as a simple task to select this artwork. But I assure you that we have some of the most conscientious members of this board. And they went through meeting after meeting, and I've looked at the minutes and communicated with them. And they were considering the values of our community, the history of our community, the mission of our library. And there were so many aspects, and they wanted to assure quality. It was a long, tedious, laborious process, and they put far more time and dedication into this than I think anybody in this community realizes. And I just want to say that and say, guys and girls, thank you so much for a tremendous job. This was a yeoman's task. I think when you started, you didn't realize how huge it was, but job well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, general orders, item B, third quarter financial reports. Ms. Alexander.
I'm Marcy Alexander, Finance Director for the city. Tonight in your packet you have the third quarter 2008-2009 financial summaries. And I know that you went through a long presentation over the financials last week, so I'm going to just kind of hit some of the highlights in these and take any questions that you might have. The purpose of these reports is to measure our progress versus the budget as we go along through the year, to make sure that if there's any revenue shortfalls that we adjust for those, or if our expenditures are getting out of hand, that we adjust for those. If we have some unforeseen event, we adjust for those. The basic information today is that we're pretty much on track with our revenues and expenditures. In the SUA, our revenues are a little bit above where we were projected to be at this time of year, and our expenditures are fairly well under, which is a good sign for us. The SPGA is probably the area where we seem to be experiencing a downturn due to the economy. I know that there have been jobs lost in the community, and some of our memberships are down. We're hoping that as the spring continues and the summer approaches, that those memberships that are down are just being delayed rather than post or canceled. But we do have a shortfall in our membership revenue in the golf course at this time. The general fund is a little bit behind the revenue projections, but the major revenues seem to be holding their own. Sales tax is ahead of budget by a little bit. There was an article in the paper the other night that talked about how our sales tax had decreased from last month, but as you all know, sales tax is pretty cyclical by month, and so over this month last year, there's just a small decrease. So when I read that article, I kind of got alarmed because I thought, well, I didn't have the numbers, but when I read it, I thought, okay, from month to month. But anyway, our sales tax is on projection. It's not been probably where we'd like to see it, but it is within what we've budgeted. So at this time, I don't see any need for any budget amendments at this time. And as you all are preparing to go through your budget deliberations for the year, if there is any fine-tuning, we can make it during those meetings and as we prepare for the coming year.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions for Ms. Alexander?
I'd like to ask a couple questions, simple questions.
Okay.
As we try to get a grip on looking at budget coming up, I see, the trending of expenses growing and trying to get a grasp on that. And one of the things, people may or may not see in this is capital expenditures were way up, but a lot of that was carryover from the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that was actually, 2 years' worth of capital expense.
Right.
One of the bigger expenses that changed in the last 2 years, we had about a 15% increase in personnel costs.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain some of the breakdown on that as we're looking at, some of the possibilities of where we need to go with budget this year?
Okay. In the past couple of years, of course, personnel costs are one thing that are going to go up unless you get to a situation where a lot of your employees are getting topped out. We have had COLAs in the last couple of years. We've also had some positions that are being reorganized. So in some instances, we have a loss of positions, and then in other instances, a gain. I believe the preliminary budget information that we had for you last week was showing that personnel is relatively flat because of some of the turnover and some of the adjustments that have been made. But most of the rise in personnel is going to be due to those COLAs and the normal step increases that are due to employees that are not at the top of their range. We haven't added, a crew or, tons of employees to cause that increase. So
in addition to the overall raise that each department has gotten, they also get some step raises in addition to that.
yes.
Does this include all of the raises from last year, or are we still holding on to some of them that we haven't finalized yet?
The step raises for employees will occur on their anniversary date of employment or on an anniversary of a promotion date. So there will continue to be raises through June. So this would not include all of them that are set to go in.
So when we discuss not giving an overall COLA raise, there's still some raises that are in there that are their step raises that are...
Right. The COLA raise that was granted last year went into effect on July 1, but their steps actually go in on their anniversary date.
One of the questions we're looking at is health insurance. Does this include the increasing cost of health insurance on this?
The numbers that we have budgeted are based on our mid-year review with our insurance third-party provider. So yes, well, this budget doesn't, but the proposed budget does.
That's all I have. I just wanted to clarify what was in here.
Okay.
I noticed the cigarette tax intake, did the tax that we get, the federal didn't affect what we get. Is that correct? The new federal tax that went in on cigarettes
My belief is that it does not affect ours.
doesn't affect us, okay. So in spite of that, we're still bringing in more money. Okay,
Can't work, don't have a job, go smoke.
I guess.